Welcome to
our open tabs.
My name's
I'm
Jess,
Mara.
and I'm excited about today's topic.
This one we had the spoons for because
it's had the internet alight for the last few weeks, and I was like, oh yeah, I could talk about it more.
I could talk about Reesa Teesa and Legion.
I dug to the bottom of my bag and I said, well, look at those couple of spoons I got in there, and I pulled them out just for today.
Pulled them right up. This one has Reesa Teesa's name on it. And shout out to my friend Kim, because she was already texting me last week when she was watching it, like, you guys were going to talk about this, right? Whenever you come back. And I was like, oh, we're already texting.
Of course.
Yes.
And people say the social media, like, what a gift. What a gift.
Right when I needed it, right when my spirit was so broken from seeing all the horrors of Palestine and Sudan and just all, right when I needed it, Miss Reesa Teesa just laid her hand on my forehead and said, child, I have a blessing to bestow upon you.
She was like, happy Black History Month, Jessica. Happy early birthday. Happy early Women's Month. I was like, wow, Reesa, girl, thank you.
And it will take, it's a blessing that will take 6 hours of your life, but it will feel like a moment.
Man.
Do you want to summarize?
First, I was trying to avoid it. So this was a story told to us. You know what's bad? I don't know her real name.
I think her real name is Teresa. That's my guess.
Okay. Reesa Teesa, Miss Teresa.
Miss Teesa.
And at first, the first couple of days, I saw people talking about I'm on part something of 50. And I was like, I'm not watching that.
Me too. Yep.
And then my friend was like, girl, I'm on part 18 and you have got to start. And I was like, so I was walking Nigel. She was like, just put it on 2x speed. And because each video was 10 minutes.
Yeah.
So there was an introduction and then there was like 52 parts.
Yeah. How many parts did it take for you to be hooked?
One.
It took me a few. I would say by part 3. I think right when she found out she was pregnant was when I was like, oh girl, like this is not
truly hooked, probably that. But like I was like, okay, like where the first one, there was enough foundation laid that I was like, how do we get 52 parts out of this that I kept? And so I would say truly flabbergasted, snatched into the story, part 3. So I was walking Nigel, so I was like, fine, I'll put it on. And so a TLDR quickly, if you don't know, the story starts February of 2020. So, right before lockdown and the world shutting down, pandemic, the Pantene Pro V, and she meets this man online, which, side note, I didn't know did she say it was Facebook dating, or she just saw his Facebook? I didn't know that was a thing.
I haven't been on Facebook in years at this point, so I don't know. But yeah, she said, I think that they actually met or like connected through Hinge.
Okay.
They also matched on Facebook somehow.
Okay.
I don't.
And he had,
if you've been on Facebook dating, let us know how that works.
Because I don't know. When is Facebook? I'm in like a book binding group on Facebook, but I just go there, check it, and get off. So I was like, I don't know about.
I don't trust Mark Zuckerberg with giving me a decent partner.
No, not at all. She meets this man. First date. It was eventful. She had a flat tire, all this stuff before, but he seemed really nice, was telling her all this stuff. And immediately, and she tells you in the beginning that there were a lot of red flags that she just was ignoring or like choosing to be like looking past. She acknowledges, one of my favorite things about it is that she acknowledges consistently throughout the stories that she's telling that she was willing to look past red flags and just like really wanted to be in a relationship. So she was like looking past a lot. And so that first
colored glasses on in the red flag factory, so she could not see them.
Yes. She was like, no peripheral. I'm only looking this way.
It's all red. So
even though he was like, she was like, no.
Bless her.
And so just from what she said, they shared on like their first conversation on the first date. I was like, it seems to me that he's laying a big foundation, a lot of backstory. But fast forward 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and the lockdown thing is coming. It's like, and she was saying they didn't want to go through this lockdown alone, so he moves in with her.
Yeah.
2 weeks into her Christian home.
Yes.
And she continues to tell us the story and about all these things, because he lies, of course, and all of how he
About
was doing
everything.
this job and he was looking for a house. And so since they were dating and they were feeling all these emotions, they should look for a house together, and that he had this super high budget because he had this printout letter.
He was a regional manager
Printer,
of
the
the
unpaid actor in this story.
this man loves two things, and that is a printer and Google Images. They are his accomplices in this heist.
Lock him up. And so he's saying that he like had this good job. He's being promoted to VP at this
VP of
condiment factory.
mustard. Yeah, exactly. VP of ranch. We don't know.
This is in Hotlanta also for the
Yeah.
ATL. He promises all of her all of these things. She gets pregnant early on. She I guess, if you haven't listened to the story, like, where have you been? You're gonna have spoilers. I hope that
We
makes,
assume you.
but
Yeah.
she had a
You should listen
miscarriage.
to, if you have not heard it, pause now, come back 6 hours from now when you're done.
It's worth
because
it
is
still.
worth your time. Even if you do it at like 1.5 speed.
She's a great storyteller.
She's a great storyteller, and it is worth a listen.
She keeps you engaged.
Yeah.
And you might want to get a notepad if you can't follow things easily, because she's like, that's important.
Yeah.
And you want to be like, oh, I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah.
Shantae. But yeah, so all of these things, I mean, they're moving fast, moving in together, looking for a house. She got pregnant. She unfortunately had a miscarriage. He's still lying to her about all of these things, saying with the house, saying he's going to get her this vehicle. Like, she continues to look past it. She like catches him and lies, and she even says that she was like, I'm going to allow him to lie his way out of, like, I want to see how he gets out of this. And he just lied about it. And she's like, okay, I'm going to go with it.
Because she was pregnant, and she is it's important context. She is very religious. Mm-hmm. So I think that is also a big factor in her mindset of like, I'm living with this man. I'm going to have a baby with this man.
Yeah.
We got to get married. Like, we got to make this legit.
At one point I was like, wait, did I miss the part where they like, he proposed and she
have you not heard that?
She was like, no.
Okay, I'll tell you.
I didn't
she said was on the live, and it is.
Oh, well, bad. She said briefly in the story, she was like, it wasn't anything. Did I watch the live? Because I heard her say that it was not like a grand proposal. Like, he had her, they went to the jewelry store to like pick out rings that she liked. And then just at dinner one night or something, he was just like, gave her the ring.
He literally just gave her one of the rings and said, you're going to be my wife. And it turns out Miss Teesa has an allergy to like cheap jewelry, like nickel plated jewelry, and she got a rash, and that's how she found out it was a fake.
Oh my god, no, I missed that.
From Amazon. Moment of silence.
Oh my god, that's even worse.
This would have been around the time she found out about Peaches, probably. So, or the lady on Facebook Messenger.
Jesus.
Anyway,
the ring. But
and they go through, I would say, conservatively 5 cycles of trying to buy a house, and it falling through for
2 realtors.
Yeah,
3 realtors. 3.
Plus his fake friend realtor.
Oh, yes, I forgot.
3 realtors and a fake realtor. So that's 4.
Because he kept saying, so again, we said the printer and Google Images, his best friend, his accomplices. Because from when she met him, he had this statement that was supposed to be from Chase Bank that said he was approved for up to $750,000 for a mortgage. Oh, also very important. He also told her that he had multiple bank accounts, savings accounts, and an offshore account. Because
because
he played
he had
arena football.
he made his money playing arena football. Which this is the one that I really do have to fault her for. Like, of all the things that I'm like, she looked past it. The football thing, if you're dating someone and they say they used to play football, would you not, just from like a pure like thirst perspective, I would
Immediately.
immediately go try to look up the pictures of them like all like beefed up in their uniform.
Yep.
And she would
Or
have immediately found out A, he didn't play arena football, and B, that arena football players make like $17 an hour.
yeah. At least even from that, even if it wasn't, I want to see him and like, ooh, I want to show off and show people my man plays
Yeah.
football, because I know a lot of people don't know what arena football is. So I would have been like,
What is that? Like,
like,
that is the one that I do like
girl,
legit. I'm like, that's not you ignoring a red flag. That's just you not having normal human curiosity.
none,
Yeah.
zero, zip, zilch. Um, and I'm sorry, the offshore account from a regular person is cracking me up.
He's like,
I'm like,
everyone knows you do that. Everyone does that to avoid paying taxes. It's
of
like,
course. Okay, sir.
okay.
So he had all this money, she thought. And he would show her statements, or what she thought were
Yeah.
checking account statements. Again,
Yeah. Like
screenshots.
saving, checking.
Yeah,
He's
from
paying
his
all the household
various.
bills.
Yes.
So
So he did have a job. Was he a
he
VP at a condiment company?
we'll get there.
But even if like for some reason the bank was like, we will let you get an up to $750,000 mortgage, why would I do that? Why would I be at the top of my budget
Well,
and get a
also,
mortgage that expensive?
so okay, I do want to caveat. I do make a nice salary, but at the time I even got this mortgage, I was making probably 20% less than what I make now, and they offered me a $600,000 mortgage.
Ooh,
Like, it's not, if you have a okay credit and some money to put down for the down payment, like, these
they're
banks,
like, sure,
don't you remember the
come on.
2008 mortgage crisis? Like, they are not
Get in
responsible in
debt,
terms of
come
how much
on.
mortgage they're giving to people, like,
750,
and
and I
when they
was
told me that, I was
floored.
like, "Who on my salary buying a
You're like,
$600,000 house? This is
and I'm sure
crazy."
people do that, and then
Oh,
it's
I'm
their
sure they do.
entire check, and
Yeah.
then taxes and insurance. As I'm just sitting there flabbergasted, I don't remember. Did she ever say what she? I know she had a job, but what did she do for
She
work?
worked at Georgia State Patrol,
Oh
and
yes,
she's mentioned she
GSP.
has a degree in criminal justice, so I'm not sure. I get the impression she might be some kind of, like, administrator
Mm-hmm.
or, like,
Because she like could pay her
program
own bills
overseer.
and whatever, but she would mention like she needed his help for like the car and stuff like that. So she wasn't like swimming in money, but she could like take care of herself.
She mentioned at one point she was living paycheck to paycheck, and that she at one point had taken a second job, working at
Mm.
Amazon.
Oh
So I'm
yes,
under the impression that she had, like, just enough to get
mm-hmm.
by with what she had,
Yeah,
but it was a stretch. So
yes. And
so
then he
somebody
came
coming
in
in,
paying your household bills,
yes,
and
allowing you to
you
catch
have
up on
like,
your credit cards and pay off your student debt a little bit and
yeah. Oof.
whatever.
uh would be very nice.
Yeah.
And presumably she obviously is attracted to this person, feels
Yeah,
connected to this
apparently.
person somehow. Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
Um
No, I guess if he had a great personality, I'm sure I would think he was
yeah.
perfectly fine looking.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, personality covers a multitude of sins, you know?
It do.
The heart wants what it wants, Jess. We can't.
And rose-colored glasses with the desperation lenses in them.
And it
I don't
sounded like
know.
she hadn't been dating for a while, so I think her meow
And
meow may
do
have
you know
been doing part of her thinking for her. He is 6'4", so I'm assuming, I mean,
do you know how I know that she do you know her age? Because I know because she talked about obviously being Christian, being like, I'm getting
yeah,
maybe up there, but which can range depending on what the person thinking of how old they are without being with a
yeah.
partner. So I'm assuming that
I'm
played into, but I don't know how old she is.
I think so. I am under the impression she was in, like, her late 30s because
Mm.
she mentioned that it was a high-risk pregnancy.
Oh yeah.
So I think she must have been over 35, but not, like,
not yet in her 40s yet.
No, that's kind of the impression I get. And I will, like, whenever we get there, I definitely want to talk about the Christian aspect of it, because that is the part that I think is under discussed of like
Yes.
the Southern Christian culture for women and how this impacted her decision making.
Yes. Because
Aside from,
I mean,
I think she had some cultural pressure. I think her meow meow was lonely.
there were so many factors.
I think she was like
on this wheel of terrible decision making.
Yeah, she had, there was a confluence of events that allowed this to happen. The pandemic, for sure.
You know, women, even when I was in school, in college, I mean, and I don't know if they still say it now. I wouldn't be surprised, especially with like sororities. But in the South, you know, you was like, you're going to school for your MRS degree. You're going to meet a man to get married.
I was one of the only people I went to college with who was not married by 25. Jesus. And I was very religious, so that was part of it. But like all of my college friends were married off by 25. Insane. They all have kids in middle school now, which is crazy.
Yeah, when I see that, there's a couple people I graduated with who have like high school seniors because they had them like really young, either
right
like
out of
yeah. And I'm like, excuse me, you have someone who's able to vote legally that came from you.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about what's the difference between being a man and being just a guy. And I feel like that's me. I guess I'm technically a woman, but I kind of feel like I'm just a guy, just a girl. I'm just a little guy. I think I present to the world as a woman, but in my mind and heart, I'm just a little guy. Like, I'm not ready for this.
Just little old me
person.
I don't know where we were. Mortgage?
The mortgage, these houses keep falling through. She's getting increasingly suspicious. Somehow they do end up getting married again. I think it's like some pressure, like we'll get into that. And then almost immediately he cuts the dick game off, which I think she might, that's part where I think she may have been dickmatized. I think that's part of the problem here. So that gets cut off. So her blind, you know, the fog starts to lift a little bit. And then she finds out that he's been messaging these women on Facebook Messenger and like saying he wants to do all these nasty, she said nasty, but I think she just meant like not vanilla sex. And she's like, and he's not doing that with me. So I'm like, why are you trying to do this with these other women? Like when I've offered, you said no. I don't know what that means, but anyway. So they start to go to premarital marital counseling with the pastor and his wife, and even the pastor and his wife are like, y'all should not have gotten married, but we'll try to help you.
Like, we're all for marriage, but in this case, no.
And then like slowly she starts to find out these things about like his social security number he put on their marriage certificate wasn't the correct one. And when she gets the correct one, she finds out that he never lived where he said he lived. She finds out he has an additional ex-wife he never told her about. She finds out he doesn't have the number of siblings he says he has, and the ones he does have that he is supposedly having a conversation with every morning that she's listening to has never happened. So he's just sitting there pretending to talk to somebody on the phone in front of her. Every day.
And not like 5, like 30, 40-minute phone conversations he's having with no one.
With he himself.
And being like, oh yeah, Craig said hi. Oh, tell him I said hi. Oh, Risa said hi. Like,
yeah, exactly. And like then she starts talking to his family and they're all like, he ain't shit. He ain't ever been shit. We don't fuck with him, but he's our family. She finds out that he is not the VP of ranch. He just is like a forklift driver at the condiment factory. And she finds out that he is on probation from being in jail because he was impersonating an officer. God, what else? She finds out he doesn't have the number of siblings he says he had. She finds out that he had said that his grandmother and his uncle had died of COVID during COVID, and both of those individuals had been dead for years. Like, he also said
his like stepchild with what his ex-wife had died.
Yes. Nope.
The man What?
He never played football at San Diego State or the Reina
He never
football.
lived in the state of California, it appears.
He never lived in the state of California, never been to college. And she finds out that one of the this is wild. One of the brothers who did exist was not his little brother, but was in fact his twin. And the twin lives in Nashville, is the VP of ranch, has the 5-bedroom house and the wife and the BMW. Like, he basically was pretending he had the life that his twin has.
Twin, where have you been?
Yeah.
This man, he was a private citizen, Mara. So
He was
shouldn't fault him for that. That's why she couldn't find his information.
She didn't confront him about nearly as much of this stuff as I feel like she ought to have. Like, I don't know. Yeah. But one of the things she did confront him about was you never went to San Diego State and you never played football for them. And he's like, oh, my dad paid for me to be a private citizen. And she's like, what? And he's like,
no record of me.
Yeah, they don't keep records of you if you pay to be a private citizen. Like,
again, she has been very forthcoming with her part
taking accountability.
But I just have, because to roll it back, oh my God, Nigel, please. The house, I feel like it was the first or second house she found that he was lying because he kept saying like, oh, well, they had a realtor, but he was like, no, I wanted to use my friend to give him the commission, whatever. And they're supposed to like get an inspection and all of this stuff. And she goes to look at the house on Zillow or whatever, and it's saying like sold or whatever it says. And she called the person, and they were basically ended up telling her like it was an old white couple who bought it. And so she knows they did not get the house, but she allows him to lie to her.
Yep.
And say, oh, like they were messing up the mortgage rate or whatever, the interest rate.
Like, it's not a good investment.
Like, okay. And then he would keep my favorite things. He would never been later. They put in an offer. Like, it seemed like the houses kept getting more expensive that they were looking at for just two people. I'm like, why are you trying to buy a house this big? And he would say, oh, I want to put in an all cash offer.
Yeah.
And they got lucky on the first one because one of the things was like them finishing the basement or something. I think the house was like $600,000 and the seller didn't want to do that. But the guy's like, also the realtor asking for a proof of funds. And he's like, no, I will not show you that. Like, I'm not going to show you until the seller accepts the offer. Will I show you that I actually have the money to purchase it? And then they buy a house that's even more expensive.
And he was like signing these all cash offers, like legally binding, which I do get from her a little bit of like, at that point, she doesn't, because she prefaces the whole thing by saying, this is a story about my pathologically lying ex-husband.
Oh, yes.
So you as the listener are primed to listen for the red flags in a way that in the moment, if you believe somebody is a rational human, you're not signing a $700,000 all cash offer if all you have is a pot to piss in. Like,
I'm like, so you know more legal things than me. If that happened, let's say that first person, the house, $700,000, the seller accepted, would he like be in trouble or anything for like signing that and he doesn't have the money?
I don't know. I'm trying to think. Like, I mean, if you just straight up, like, I guess you could probably be sued for like breach of contract. But like, you don't have no money, so that doesn't.
That's wild to me. And they basically like, we want proof of funds, and he was like, no.
He's like,
and then they had a different realtor who was a real one, who was like, girl, why
Amber was like, that's cute, but I'm not doing anything until you show me this proof of funds.
Yeah. And he was like, no. This man does nothing but diabolical things, but some of the things that stand out to me are he told her he was going to get her a car. And they go looking at BMWs and Audis and
the
whatever.
dark blue with the cognac interior is the BMW that she would
but
like.
But wasn't the BMW? But then somehow he was like, no, let's get you
should do an Audi instead. Yeah.
So
I think it was like a V8.
She thinks she's getting this because also he had been at BMW apparently buying his work
company
vehicle
car that he then doesn't keep he keeps at the office.
What?
And I've never had a company car, so I don't really understand this. Okay, and that why do you get a company car? Like,
Well,
what
I
is the
had one.
rationale of even getting one?
The only reason I had one was because I was a field adjuster for insurance, so we had to drive to people's houses. For like a regular VP in an office, I have no idea, but we had to drive to people's houses, so they had like a fleet of cars. So we had a Chevy Malibu, so they paid for the car, obviously insurance, mileage, whatever. Well, you were
Okay.
supposed to put in what your personal miles were, and they would
Which you
deduct that
did
part,
every
of
month.
course,
Yes.
accurately.
Yes.
And but I drove it, but it was like that. It was like you could drive it wherever, but just make sure you're driving. Obviously, like no one else can be driving your vehicle, but you take it home, you keep it, like you use
Yeah,
it
you
on
don't have to,
whatever.
like, drop it off at the fleet every
Yeah.
day.
So for an office, no, especially in like the modern day, maybe in like the 1950s, that made sense to like the
Well,
VP of a business would have. Obviously, he wasn't,
and
but like would
also
have a
just, like,
company car.
logistically, this makes no, because Atlanta,
Oh,
notoriously horrible
Atlanta is
traffic.
3 hours from Atlanta.
So
And someone who lives in
the
Atlanta
idea
showed a
of
map of like where they were. It would be like multiple hours because he was saying that he would drive his car from their home
like,
to this
south of Atlanta
place,
to Atlanta to in Midtown, so, like, the
switch them
city
out,
core, switch it out,
then
and then
drive
head
north
north.
and then do it
And,
all again.
like, as somebody who's had horrible hour-long like, hour-plus commutes, like, if I could shave 60 seconds off of it, I would take the
Yes.
back road. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
nobody is signing up to daily have to add probably easily a half hour to their commute just to switch
Yeah.
these out.
Someone showed it on the map at like, but they were looking at it in the wee hours of the morning and it already was like an hour and a half. She was like, so at prime time traffic, this would take hours.
It's
But
crazy.
he, of course, in that building, where he's keeping his company car. But
The
so
night walk,
he was saying
the
like
weekend,
he was buying the company car, but the person wasn't in the office to fax over to something. He wastes so many people's time. Like
he
these people
is
at the
nothing but a
dealership thinking
time
they're getting
waster.
sales, these
Mhm.
realtors thinking they're getting commissions. And so he tells her that he's getting her this Audi, but it's being delivered because custom ordered per, and
Yeah.
she got to be home on this day between these hours. So she makes sure she is there waiting for her ride. Oops, sorry, waiting for her vehicle to be delivered. You think it's delivered? It's just not. And that you wouldn't be.
Like, how does and then she ends up just like, "Oh, I'll just get this on my own," and she
She
gets
just got
herself
like a
a Nissan.
Nissan. You
How
weren't gonna
does
buy
that
me an
what is the A
Audi,
to B on that? Like, I
and nothing comes ever.
like, if you and Andrew had spent all this time picking out a car, and then it just never showed up, like, what co
Knuckle sandwich.
and I mean, granted, Andrew is, like, a rational, non-pathologically lying person, so, like, I guess it's, hard to even imagine this, but, like,
Yeah, but
I just don't
you're
understand
not.
because this was before they were married.
Yes. This is time we are wasting. You're getting my hopes up. We're test driving, we're
Yeah.
doing all of these things, and then nothing. And then she just has to buy.
And that's part of, like, what she kind of ultimately concludes is, like, he got off on, like, getting her hopes up and then
Yep.
crushing them. Like,
Yep.
that was what was in it for him, was
But
to crush her dreams.
there's got to be. I'm no psychiatrist, but I need that man evaluated and studied because there's got to be something wrong. This man
Well, he came
took her
back
to a
on and said,
random
yeah.
person's grave.
Oh my god.
To say it was his grandmother that died in COVID. That didn't. Some random person's grave he just took her to.
With the same last name. Crazy. He took her to a church that he said his parents founded. That was just a random trip. It was just a field trip. Like, I don't know. I
He
did see
just
on his
loved
on stream, they're like,
driving.
he is dedicated to the world building. We got to give him
Yeah.
that. He has a whole universe.
He's like, let me
of
set it up for
detail.
you. There's my office. Let me tell you how I get to work. Switch out my car. Go there. What I do all day. I'm sorry, I was in a meeting. I've got an assistant.
David.
Rewind. When
Oh
she had
God.
her miscarriage, because he was just newly promoted VP. He's got his assistant. So unfortunately, she had a miscarriage. But it was too far along. Like, basically, it was either like they do the DNC or like take this pill to like basically, pass the
Expel
rest
the
of the fetus.
fetus. Yeah.
And she did that. It was miserable pain, and then but it still didn't get it all, so she had to have the DNC.
Yeah.
This man is like, oh, I got a meeting. You know, I'm a new VP, so I'm busy.
Yeah. So he did not take her to her surgery. And granted, it was COVID, so like it was also a weird time in terms of like
yes,
nobody could go in with her. She had to do
he
it by
said my
herself.
sister can take you.
Who we later find out does not exist. So I have no idea who he thought.
Was he just gonna send an Uber
I
and
don't
say this to my
know.
sister?
But so she's texting with him, and quote unquote David responds saying he can't come to the phone, and it's him. Like we now know it's him. So like, and then he
She's
leaves
out
her
of
there for 3
surgery,
hours
in recovery, just waiting.
She was supposed to be there like an hour, and he made her wait there for 3. And like, it's just crazy because if he had told her from the jump, now the criminal history thing I think would have been a hard stop for her, period, it sounds like. But if he hadn't, let's say he hadn't told her that, but he just said like, "Hey, I'm a forklift driver, I'm trying to
He was
make my
still
way up in
working.
this company." He's
Yeah.
still paying all the bills. Like, if he had told her like, "Hey, I just really love going to open houses and seeing how, other people live or like looking at them. I
Which
just think
is
it's fun."
fine. Because some
Like
people
all of
do
these
that, or
things,
like
yeah.
to go look at homes and do stuff. It's window
If he
shopping.
Yeah,
Okay.
and so she knew he was a forklift driver, and he said like, "I'm so sorry. I literally can't take time off to do this. Like, I will lose my job if I do this, but I'm so sorry, and I will be there with you every step of the way to help you." Like, none of this is stuff that couldn't be
No,
like, she would
he
still be very excited to have somebody paying half of the household bills, and, like,
mhm.
it's
And
just,
just
like,
not
it's
be lied
so
to and expect someone to be coming and waiting
yeah,
there for 3 hours. Like,
it's just so I don't know. She did a follow-up video that she had talked to his brother again, and he had clarified that Legion, which is what she calls this man, had been diagnosed with bipolar schizophrenic disorder, and that apparently his parents stayed, like, out of retirement or came out of retirement to work longer to, like, try to help him stay on his meds, but then when they died, he, like, really went off the rails.
oh,
So
I didn't
that
see
that
that. That
definitely,
makes a
like,
lot of sense
connected a lot of dots
because
for
I was
me.
like wondering, especially, and I, again, no psychiatrist, no psychology. I took a few courses in undergrad. Okay, I'm not qualified,
Yeah.
but just the amount of things that she said and things that he did, I was like, is there some kind of schizophrenic disorder in here? Because
Has to be.
this is beyond just a pathological liar. Like, this is, which
Unwell, like someone who
I don't know
is
if that's in
not
the
fully in touch with
DSM-5.
reality.
Yeah. I, and we have just like skimmed again. That's why we say you need to go watch the whole
Yeah,
thing
it's
because
just
there's so much I'm probably
because then he
forgetting.
also, like, he hurts his knee, he loses his job. She finds out, like, she kind of has this, like, culmination of finding out all the stuff, and she,
Mhm.
like, lightly confronts him, and he denies it, and she's like, "Get out of my house." And so she kicks him out. She says, "If you don't get out now, I will beat you like the bitch you are." And I was like,
I needed on a teacher
um,
because he had
and
been basically deteriorating in this guest room that he's sleeping in, peeing in
he's
Powerade
losing
bottles
yeah, he's losing, like
weight
he's
really
she thinks
fast.
she was like, "I think he has cancer." Like, he was just, like, rapidly losing weight at a
And I'm
unhealthy,
like,
alarming rate.
yeah, hard to like get up and walk and do stuff, like in a lot of pain. And I'm just like,
And subsequently, it came out like, okay, this is alleged, and, like, I feel a little weird saying this without knowing this for sure, but it would explain the weight loss. Somebody found him in a local Atlanta HIV support group. So, like, she did find out that he was sleeping with a sex worker on her.
mhm,
So, like, you know, even if
who
it wasn't from
knows?
the sex worker, like, he clearly was cheating on her with people. So, like, maybe it's a blessing that he stopped sleeping with her because maybe that's what happened was that he
Contracted something.
contracted something. But that's pure
Yeah.
speculation, and I don't wanna stigmatize this is why people if you are sleeping with people, be on PrEP, even if you're not gay. It's very pushed in the gay community, but everybody is susceptible to HIV, so
Yes. Yeah, when she was saying, I was like, I feel like there's something
yeah.
else going on here, not just a knee, like a knee. I've had a knee injury and they suck, but like all the weight loss and the
The only other thing
ah,
I could think is with the loss of appetite is that it was some sort of, autoimmune disorder
mm,
because, like, that can affect your joints, so that would explain the knee pain, and then, like, if he was so Like if
Did
he
she
had
say
like
he ever went to
ulcerative
the
colitis
doctor?
or Crohn's or something like that, then that would also explain the weight loss.
Yeah. Did she say
So
he ever went
maybe.
to the doctor? Or he just was
He
like,
told me he did, but there's no way. He lost his job, so he didn't have health
yeah,
insurance. Like,
true.
so she kicks him
What?
out. They're trying to get a divorce, and she finds out that he has nowhere to go. He's living in his car. He then there's this big confrontation that I have mixed feelings about, which maybe we can talk about. But basically, the police
Mara, what
come
do
and
you
get him on a
mean?
warrant.
He living in his car. He basically had a house and was
Oh,
just like
that's
renting a
right.
studio for
Yeah.
funsies.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot that he had allegedly now he says that he had a house the whole time.
Because, spoiler alert, some raggedy hoe made it her duty to go find who, because Risa never says his real name. She calls
Just
him
calls him
Legion,
Legion.
which is that Legion. I only know this from the comments. Legion of, what is it? It's from the Bible,
She
but it
says that's
refers
why.
to
Yeah,
demons.
there's a demon in the Bible who just says my name is Legion. And I think because his real name, his nickname is Rome. So like Roman Legion, Legion,
Okay.
Demon, like I think it all came together. It was her being witty.
And to not name him, and someone was like, I found him, and so now
He's
he
here
is
live
on the
for
internet flapping his lion ass gums about I'm doing a special with Netflix, and
he's
I'm
still
like, wow,
using
you
Google
really
Images
just
to
do
show
this
us
for fun.
things.
You really just do. He photoshopping himself into a Netflix background.
He loves a Google image reverse search.
Now women be wary of a man who has a printer and also just access to the internet. You oh, you
but
never know.
he doesn't have a job. He is unhoused. He's living in his car. There's this big confrontation where he tries to come back to the house while they're getting a divorce. The police come because he has a warrant out for violating probation and take him away. She has his car payments weren't being made, so they come and take the car away. And he's just like,
Tell me your thoughts on this confrontation.
I guess I struggle a little bit. So she works for the police. She clearly is like complicit in the police state, which
Mm.
I find a little iffy. And she then uses the fact that he has an expired warrant, it turns out, to have him arrested. And then as
Mm.
a result of that, he loses the only possessions he had left. I just I get that he's a piece of shit, but I just don't
Mm.
know that anybody deserves that. Like I don't know.
I don't know.
Now, I'm not saying he should have been allowed to come back and live with her. That's crazy. That would have been so dangerous. But like I don't know. Doesn't
Yeah.
everybody
No.
deserve the right to shelter? And like isn't this using the police state in a way that's kind like if we were neutral on him, we would say that was fucked up.
Yes, this is true.
So I don't know.
That's
I
valid.
just yeah.
A different perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still don't get me wrong, I'm firmly on team Reesa Teesa. I just think it's like that, and then some of her, like, trad wife stuff that she talks about, I'm just like,
It's that. Yes, let's
"Mm."
talk about that and the whole Christianity, how it plays into it. Because I very much, like you said, a lot of people haven't talked. I've seen a couple of TikToks mention that. But because when I was listening, I was like, oh,
This is some church
mm-hmm,
bullshit right here.
mm-hmm,
Every move she made, I think, was motivated by shame at being the age she was and not being married,
mm-hmm.
and then living with someone
Yep.
unmarried.
I mean, those are very big. I mean, my mom used to say, "Don't be shacking up with no man that's living in sin."
They won't buy the cow if they can get the milk for free.
And but it's just so like wild to me that she started, because they could have, I know it was lockdown time, and I have a different perspective because I was locked down with my spouse.
I was locked down
And so
alone.
I'm sure that is lonely, but also like to just start dating a person, I would be like, we would just have to be FaceTime dating. Like you could still be talking to someone and he didn't have to. It's just so interesting to me that she had all of the other things were so motivated by, I mean, I think initially getting to a relationship also motivated by religion, but to have someone moving with you 2 weeks after meeting them and knowing that this is what you care about, like being married first and then all of that, is wild.
I think I mean, and she says this throughout, that she was desperate. I think she thought, this is somebody who is doing well for himself. Oh, we should mention, on their first date, she blew out her tire, which certainly was, if there is a God, him trying to save her. But Legion
He
came and
tried.
changed her tire for her, and
Oh,
then
yeah.
took her to the tire shop and paid for her to get a new tire.
Yep.
So, like,
So she's
I
like,
think she thought, like,
okay,
this is a man who has some money.
he gonna take care of me.
Yeah, we have the same values, and, like, especially, she's a plus size woman, and I definitely, like, in the church, and she's like, she's clearly very smart, like, very articulate, funny. She has a great personality, like, but she's like she's a strong flavor, and I really related to that, like, the feeling of being plus size and a strong flavor as a Christian woman in the South. It's just like, the number of men who are into that is very small.
Mm.
And I remember me and my best friend had this conversation one day where we were talking about trying to date in evangelicalism. And it was just like, well, they don't want us. Like, we just had this moment of realizing, like,
They want
they
like
don't want what we have.
small woman, you know,
They
that's
want, like, we call them church mice, like, wafy,
small and
just
meek.
like, they don't take up much space
I think
physically,
that's
emotionally, mentally. They're just
very
small.
interesting also in thinking about Mormonism than conversations
Mm,
I've seen on TikTok with like, why are these Mormon women so, and not like, oh, sorry, I keep hitting my mic. Other
okay.
people aren't pretty, but you see, especially Mormons on TikTok, very done up, hair extensions. And then
Boob
like something
job.
like I watch Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, and
Mhm.
one who was a Mormon, and I mean, some of the women on there are Mormon, and she has like, what do you call those, med spa where you do like Botox and stuff, and her business
Mhm.
is booming because
Yeah.
all the more like these women are expected to uphold this like standard of looking
Yes.
young and youthful and staying slim. So that,
'Cause
I guess that's just a
that's your value
evangelical
as a
thing.
woman. I
Oh.
think, is like, what you are bringing to the table is your submission and your beauty
Mm.
and your childbearingness, I guess. Like,
Oh.
that's such a big part of what you're bringing, and so if you don't have the conventional look,
Hmm.
it is hard to find men in that space who are into that, and
Oh.
especially if you layer on top of that being any kind of outspoken woman, or
Yeah.
smart, or she clearly, like, had a college degree and, like, had a career, even if she, like, maybe didn't pay well, but it was a career. Like, I just don't think it's, like, not what men in that space want. So I think her finding somebody who had that kind of, like, social cachet, she thought, of, like, he's a
Mm.
VP of ranch, he's
So cute.
he's buying this car, he's buying these houses, and he wants me. Like, he
Yeah.
wants me, and he wants to build a life with me. I think that
Hmm.
was really hard for her to look past. Like, that was so what she wanted to be true, that I
Yeah.
think it was hard for her to question it. And it's
That's
not, I like people saying, like, "What VP would want someone who looks like that?" Listen, as somebody who's been on these dating, like, they may not, men like what they like, okay? People like what they like. It's not
exactly.
implausible to me, it's just more like, yeah, I don't know. I find that to be very rude, those comments. But yeah, anyway, I just think she, like, in addition to, many women who are in their late 30s and want a family, start feeling the
Yes.
time clicking away. So, like, I think there's some normal, like, quote unquote desperation factors at play, but I think her being a plus size woman in the church and having her kind of big personality, I think also her dating options in the church have been very limited,
Hmm. That
likely.
makes
And
sense.
yeah.
That makes sense. And also just makes me so sad. Not just for her, just for women in general. The amount I see who like, not like this is coming from some super confident Carrie, okay? That's not me. But who put their value, or like a part of their value is if they are partnered with a
Mhm.
man. And I'm like,
Yeah.
girl, they ain't shit.
Well,
They're
especially, like,
bombs.
if that's your, like, and women are very much taught, like, your value is to be a wife and mother,
Mhm.
and then you are not what is wanted for that. Oh,
Yeah.
that is hard. Like,
It's like
I
you were
know
put
that.
on this earth to be
Yeah.
married, to be a helpmate, to
Yes.
have children, to be a mother.
Mhm.
You came from his rib.
Yeah. And then you aren't that. Like,
Yeah.
I still know some women who are in the evangelical church, and they will never find a partner because they are too smart or too vivacious or whatever
Mhm.
for what is expected in that culture, and they're going to die alone. And there's no reason for it because they're great. Like,
Yeah.
they would have no problem finding a partner outside of the church.
Outside. Ugh,
It's
it
so,
is.
and it's just like, I hate, like, this makes me so sad for you because you're amazing. There's no
Yeah.
reason why you shouldn't be married with
And
kids if you were looking outside of this dating pool. Yeah.
mm,
So I
yeah.
really felt for her throughout, like, I g I get her mindset. I mean, it's crazy. She really should have. She was
Yes.
definitely naive in a lot of respects and was hearing what she wanted to hear, especially when she started realizing he was lying to her and she was
I know.
consciously aware of it and still proceeded. That is pretty crazy
It's different when you suspect and you can't
versus when
prove, but
you
seeing
know
concrete proof multiple, like, not just one
multiple
thing,
times.
I'm like, "Come on,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah.
What's
But I
going
do,
on?"
it's like, I don't know, we all are able to make ourselves
Yeah.
believe things that are just what we need to believe, you know?
Yes. As you said earlier, it's definitely easier now as an outsider. And she's just giving us this story like back to back. This isn't spread over months. This isn't like with someone with a charming personality or
Someone that
whatever
I'm in love
around you
with.
when it was, yeah,
Yeah.
when it was good. And you hang on to those moments like, well, he still did this and I'm not
Mhm.
alone. So, I'm trying to think
What
if
is
there are
it?
any more diabolical moments that really stuck out to me. The car obviously bothered me, the miscarriage.
The
Oh,
lying about your dead relatives was pretty wild.
and the fucking grave killed me. Oh,
That
with the miscarriage, the fact that didn't they go out for his birthday dinner first and then she had to go
Yes.
back and take the
Though it
pill?
was poetic that she then kicked him out on his birthday a year later.
Yes, yes. So I'm trying to think of all I think we hit the highlights. I
The
was trying to
sex
just
worker stuff was pretty funny because her name was Peaches, and she was only
Peaches,
charging $40 for a handy, and I was like, "Peaches, girl, you gotta
you
up
gotta
these
up them
prices.
rates.
Come
You
on."
I know I appreciate you trying to be economical. That is so
Especially in
kind
these
and
pandemic
courteous,
times, you know?
but you gotta charge your worth, queen.
Yeah,
It's too
you
low.
can't lower the prices and the whole it affects the whole marketplace, Peaches. You gotta get in your coin.
Exactly. With the conversations, obviously everybody's still been talking about it. And there was so he had two ex-wives, and I can't remember, I don't think we had their
Yeah,
names,
Latoya, and
but
I don't
one,
think we found out the other
Latoya,
one. Yeah, the
came
first
on
one was
social
Latoya.
media
Yeah.
and made a story. And I watched it, but then she was like, "That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not singing anymore. I'm healing." But now I see that she's apparently doing an interview with Tasha K, and I'm like,
Yeah, I think she
"I thought you were
I
healing,
mean,
sister."
you know, maybe it all, give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it kind of reopened it all and, like,
I
she felt like
would
she
not,
couldn't
yeah,
talk about it before now.
yeah. The
Because 'cause
but
I'm
people
sure
who
she
are
has some
like
stories.
any person who's like talking negatively about Reesa Teesa, I'm like, do you see me? I'm like, girl, what did you see in Legion? Not what did he see in her?
Oh, it's very clear what he saw in her. She seems like a catch.
Yes, I'm like him. Okay. Obviously
She's
he
smart,
probably
she's
looked
funny,
different.
yeah.
He's tall.
He is 6'4". That is, I think, the main thing he brings to the relationship.
He is tall. Um, and obviously he has some charisma somewhere in there in his to be able to be lying so much and
I mean, I did
convincing
watch
her and these
clips.
other women that he's been married to it. So it wasn't just her. And he's long practice at this game.
Yeah. I did see some clips of him with that guy. Bless the soul of that guy who interviewed him, because you could just see the empty look in his eye of like,
He was like, Oh, so and he was like, no, this is why. Just watching him lie, he's like, uh-huh.
And he is very, like, he doesn't miss a beat.
He's got something
He
for
has an
some
answer
everything.
for everything.
And he's
Now,
like,
they're
oh,
crazy answers now, knowing what we know,
but
but,
he
like,
has there's never a I don't know or a it's just like instant and he can start explaining away every single thing and you're
everything.
like, what? Yeah,
He
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he's
No,
like
that's how it is.
yeah, the interviewer was like, "So, like, could you show us a picture when you played arena football?" And he's like, "No, the owners, have asked me not to, and actually I can't because I signed an NDA, and, you know, I also just don't think it's right to take food from the guys who are playing now because people are returning their tickets." And it's just like, like, he just went, like,
Kept going. It's like you're like, okay.
yeah, and, like, and she both the women who came out said that he just, like, buries you with, like, a barrage of words, and I'm like, "Okay, I kinda get what they're saying
Mhm.
of, like, he just, like, there's no hesitation, he just goes and goes, and you're like,
He's so confident in it. You're like,
yeah, he's
well, okay,
and
because
that's where I think
he
some of the schizoaffectiveness may come in of, like, I wonder if he really does believe some of it,
Mhm.
and
I'm
that's part
sure
of yeah.
it is. Yeah, watching him answer, I'm just like, wow, because it's never like, I don't, I don't. It's never that. It's always, oh yeah, let me tell you, and then 10 minutes of words, and you're like, oh,
And you're like,
okay. the the hmm, all I unrelated. No, no, not unrelated. Oh, the other diabolical thing that Miss Ma'am always wanted to go to London and Paris. Valid, two of my favorite cities. I know people like to shit on Paris. I loved Paris. I love London. This man printed out an itinerary.
he printed it
It's
out.
not a flight. He had that printer.
Yeah,
Printed out an itinerary that was, I think it was just for London.
yeah.
Like, oh,
And
I'm
we're gonna do
taking
the
you on your
Savoy.
trip. We're gonna do all this stuff. Yes,
Mhm.
the Savoy. The Savoy.
Yeah. I stayed there for 2 nights for my 35th birthday, and she is right, it was bougie.
Bougie. I wish I could. And do you think that that was a real trip that was booked that happened? No. I would have I don't condone violence. Yes, I do. But I would have had to you were not going to be playing with me like that. The
No.
car, you would have already been laid out. And if somehow you bamboozled me into staying with you past that, and then you set me up knowing my dream, my top destination, my bucket list, and you're like, I'm going to take you there? And then
Oh, do you know the other really sick thing he did that we didn't talk about? So, he had what he told her was his aunt in Augusta, but was actually his mom's best friend, and they had met so she had met the aunt when she was pregnant,
Mhm.
and he told the aunt that she had the baby.
Oh, yeah.
He told that whole part of his, like, family slash, like, familial relationships that he had a baby with her, that she didn't have a miscarriage, that they had a son, and that he was gonna leave her and take this kid, and so the aunt calls her like, "Whatever happened to the baby? Like, we really wanna meet him." And she has to tell them, like, "I had a
Oh my god.
miscarriage a year ago, like, there is no baby." Like, what?
I forgot that. Insanity. Wha No. Head full of mush. Wow.
Yeah. That's pretty that's definitely high on the list of being pretty fucked up.
Sh did she say she went to therapy? Has she
I
been to
don't
therapy?
remember.
Because I feel like that would leave me with a lot of things to work through.
I mean, she says multiple times she can't remember who she was before this happened to her, and I'm
I
like,
imagine.
"That makes sense." 'Cause, like, you would just I think it would really break your relationship of trust with yourself.
Yes. Be like, "How did I not see it? How did I allow all of this to happen?"
Well, 'cause
Oh.
keeping audio diaries throughout. That's part
Oh,
of how she can remember it
yes!
so well,
Oh,
because she
yes.
knew something wasn't right, but she wasn't trusting her own intuition.
Mhm. Nope. She
Yeah.
was like, "No, this is my husband. This is my
Yeah.
man," and
Oh, yeah, she wasn't telling people what was going on because
nope.
you're not supposed to talk about what goes
I
on
saw
in
a
your marriage.
TikTok, someone was like, "And this is why you absolutely need to be telling your friends your business," because if she had been
Yes.
telling her friends, they were like, "Girl, sister." And I agree, like, every single thing in your, like, relationship you should
Yeah.
run to, because obviously, especially your family and friends are gonna remember. They're gonna be like, "Oh, you remember that time?" So, like, every single thing. But, like, after a few of things, I would have been like, "Friend, can
It's
let me tell
dangerous, I
you a
think,
few things. I'm feeling. I want to see if am I crazy? Am I overreacting?" And they would have been like, "Girl, one,
yeah.
where is this printer?
You need to bust this printer up.
Let's go. Where's this job? When she was like, take me, when he pointed out the building where he worked, and she was like, yeah, take me there. And he's like,
Let me call
I
let me
don't have
call
the
and see if
key
Willie's
to
there.
the I have the key to my office, but not the key to like the building. And then the security man, he's not there right now. And yeah, I wish she had been
Yeah.
telling someone, because
Well, even the car thing. Wouldn't that make like, if you were getting an Audi,
yes.
telling everybody about it? And
Yes,
then I
I
would be
would.
like, "Hey, girl, like, can I see the new car? Like, can you take me for a ride?" And you'd be like, "It
So
just never showed up." And
and you'd be
I
like,
like,
what
"Excuse
do you
me?
mean?
What do you mean?
What do you mean? You got a
I
different
got a
one, or you
2012 Nissan
had to
instead."
go pick it up, or what's
Like,
going
even
on?
that.
Is it back
Yeah.
ordered? Like something. And who's to say that she would have listened? I would hope, but who's to say if she would have listened to anybody? I don't know.
Well, and,
I feel like at some point she might have been like, okay, but
I think even just having
ah,
somebody to bounce that off of, and even if they weren't like, "Get away," just being like, "Wow, that's strange,"
yeah.
or like, "That's kind of unusual, like, I can't imagine my husband doing that," like, just even a little bit of that feedback, I think would have been helpful to her.
Yes. Like, then her making her audio and being like, "Huh, that is strange now that she mentioned it." And then he
Yeah,
did this again, and maybe there would have been that would have been more helpful for, like, her recognizing these patterns, especially with god damn it, with those fucking houses.
with the frickin' houses, yeah.
I just wanna talk to the realtors. I want
I feel
I love how
really
people immediately were, like, casting what the the adaptation, who the actresses are
oh,
gonna be,
yeah.
and someone was like, "Do not let Tyler Perry put his
Do
hands on this
not let
project."
Tyler
I'm
Perry
like,
do this.
"No, this needs to be
No.
a Shonda Rhimes production, please,
Shonda
okay?"
Rhimes or nothing.
Um, just what a diabolical demon legion.
What a
Mm,
soap opera. I want
that's
nothing but good things for Miss Risa.
I know.
I
She
hope
did they
she
wasn't there a video? I don't know if she, because I saw a lot of people, even the creator of a skincare brand that I like, Naturium, was like, "I wanna send her to Paris and London." I'm like, "I need y'all to stop lying. Is somebody sending her there?" Because I feel like she said she
well,
was going.
Delta said that they would cover her first class trip, and then I think Hilton said that they would let her stay wherever on them. So, I think it's happening.
I hope so. That would also be smart branding. I mean, not
The
like
fact
they
that
need
BMW
help,
has
but
not gotten her that dark blue BMW with the cognac interiors is a major L for them.
well, one, because it's like, okay, no, the brand is not, it's not like a requirement, obviously, or like you're terrible if you didn't. But they made the TikTok and like tagging her and like the
Yeah,
exact one. Don't do that if you're
it's
not
a
planning on
gift.
getting it.
It's a gift of marketing. Like, it's
Yeah.
native
Like
organic
y'all can't
marketing.
write that off on your damn taxes. Cause yeah, then
Exactly.
now everyone's gonna be like, ooh, that's my new dream ride too. I want that navy blue BMW X5 with a cognac interior.
Yeah,
And then I think they just like deleted the TikTok. I'm like, y'all are stupid.
they're dumb. They're too dumb to know when a good like, Stanley Cup, that was the correct
Uh-huh.
when that woman's
With the
car caught
fire?
on fire and the only thing that survived was the Stanley Cup, immediately,
Genius.
"Here's a new car."
Genius.
Like, yeah.
I'm like, it's not like y'all don't have the money. These aren't some small, these are multi-billion dollar brands. Y'all,
Come
and it's
on.
not like it's not a write-off.
And you can't pay for that kind of integrated organic
Literally.
promotion.
I mean, the entire world is talking about this. I feel like someone took a screenshot of like watching the what's it called? Arena football trend on Google
I
searches.
saw that. I'm like, how much do they make?
I'm like, that's crazy. Y'all, this is your time to capitalize off of that. Nothing.
I've seen people
Sigh.
like making TikToks, seeing people like have it like watching it on their lunch break. Like, I
Yes,
feel like
there
it
was
was like
like
a
there's videos of
telenovela.
people like on the girls' trip. We put it
Yeah.
on the TV.
I've seen like when your man's on part 50 and it's like this
Yep.
guy looking at his phone crying. And it's
I
like,
was summarizing every couple parts for Andrew, and I was like, oh, and then
yeah. And she throughout she's such a good storyteller. That's part of it.
and
Is
she did
I
it in
can't
like
wait for her to write a
3
book and
days.
do the audio. I will listen to the whole thing because that's gonna be
Yes.
amazing. But like she would constantly be like, remember that, or
Mhm.
stay with me. And she would just like the way she would constantly be like, okay, I know this seems like a lot of detail, but you need to know this. And I'm just
I'm
like,
like, okay.
don't
Mhm.
worry, I am
Yeah.
tuned in. Like I have
I'm
a
locked
whiteboard
in.
with full fancy food already. Don't worry. I
Every
am
couple parts, I would send a voice note to my friend. I was like, girl, I know you did not just so like, don't worry. Yeah, she's a great storyteller. She does so much better than majority of TikToks who will start in someone part 2 and then you're going to look for it and it's not up. She put
it's
out
not
52 parts in like 36, it's like 72 hours.
always in the car.
Amazing.
That
Yeah.
woman is always driving. Not looking at the road, no hands on the steering wheel. Just looking directly into the camera.
I will say I was like, girl, you're making me nervous, but I had to look past it and just listen. Because most of the time I had it on while I was doing something. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna look because she's stressing me
She's
out.
stressing me out, yeah.
But oh my gosh, incredible, and still has the world. And now she's doing like press and stuff, and like good for her. And
She did this photo shoot and she was wearing this purple knitted like cardigan dress.
mhm.
And I'm gonna try to find a pattern because it was beautiful. And I was like, I want one
Okay,
of
I haven't
those.
seen that. I haven't seen it. And I hope if she still wants to find a man, because I don't know, that might have traumatized me for life against men. She finds someone that's actually not a liar and is worthy
I would
and
love for her
kind.
to get a matchmaker.
Oh my god, that could be a cool reality show.
Oh my gosh, I would watch the shit out of that. Yes.
Like a matchmaker for or like finding love for Reesa Teesa or something.
Yes.
Like I don't know the name for it because the name of her series was Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So I don't know if you
Yeah.
could spin that off for like a matchmaking series. But I would watch that. I
Maybe Who
watched
the
the
Fuck
heck
Will
out
I
of that.
Marry?
Yeah. Yes. Netflix. Oh
Get
my
on
god.
it.
Yes.
Because she does,
Matchmaker,
you know,
matchmaker, make me a match.
I don't know. Yeah.
I catch me.
She deserves a good, just like solid, down to earth guy. That's, I
Yes.
think, what she needs. Somebody
Yes.
who's maybe he's not the VP of ranch, but you know, maybe he just has like, maybe he's like an accountant, you know?
You
Like,
know, but I need them to actually do their because these Netflix of these reality shows are getting messier by the season and do their due diligence in investigating these people and not because I'm tired of these shows. Like I'm watching Love is Blind. I'm like, these if you would have looked, half of these people are in relationships and don't want to get married. I
well,
need
but
y'all to
they
do
probably
better.
picked them because they know it'll be good drama when it comes
Yes.
out.
And we don't want that. No, we want actual love matches for Risa. Don't be playing.
No, we want just some boring, salt of the earth dudes, you know. If she's
Wholesome
not
good
able to have
love.
kids, maybe he can, you know, maybe he has kids and she could be a stepmom,
Yes.
you know.
Whatever she wants. We need wholesome, good people, not out here trying to get popular on social media or promote a business.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what we hope for you, girl.
We thank you for the hours of entertainment at
Yes.
your expense. And yeah.
Yeah.
Wishing her the best.
Truly.
And here
she deserves.
Just a parting piece of advice for folks. Reverse image search is your friend.
Yes.
And don't be shy. That's what we'll say.
Yes. Oh my God. Ask questions. Don't take printed documents at face value.
If he has a printer, ask yourself why.
Exactly. In this day and age, why does he have a printer?
I have a printer because I print out sewing patterns on them, but that's the only reason I have a printer.
Yeah.
So he needs to have a reason why he has a printer.
Mm-hmm. Always ask questions.
Yeah.
But wow, what a time. What a time.
What a beautiful story to bring the internet together. Oh, well, Jess, where can people find you, if at all?
Mostly, I'm kind of hibernating, but I'm most active, sadly, on Patreon, but I still post here and there on Instagram, Said by Jess, TikTok. I'm more of a watcher, but you can follow me there, Said by Jess. Those are the main places at the moment. Obviously, YouTube, Jess Owens sometimes. Mm-hmm. But yeah, me and the internet. I've been just being less of a creator on it. I still am, but more of a viewer. But anywho, what about you?
Same. You can find me at Books Like Whoa on YouTube mostly. Occasionally Instagram, Goodreads. Yeah, I'm trying to stay off the internet for the most part because
another sweater.
I'm knitting.
Or is that a shirt?
This is a shirt. This is a linen cotton blend.
Ooh.
Yeah. Trying to maintain some balance and sanity. We'll see how that goes.
I hear you. The majority of this weekend, I've just been laying in bed reading fanfic, and it's been delightful.
As you should.
I'm just like, that's where I'm going after this. I'm gonna
work hard
back in bed.
Yeah,
because got to get back to the slave work tomorrow.
Yeah, we have to go back to the salt mines, but well, in the meantime, we will try to scrounge up some more spoons for another episode. Who knows when? You'll know when we know.
Yeah. Till then.
See you next time.
Bye.